I'm excited to be back today. I've got a really good friend coming on the show today. So today's guest is DJ Lani Love, who's a third of Club Mesh, at least 75% wholesome. Um, one of my favorite DJs and friends from LA. And Lani's just released her new single called Iced Coffee, which you can listen to by typing in !follow in the chat. And you can also follow her on Twitch, Instagram, and buy her music on Bandcamp as well. And yeah, I've known Lani for quite a few years, so it's great to have her finally on the show. Please welcome DJ Lani Love to Unscripted. What up, Lani?
Hey, Matt.
Hey, thank you so much for being our guest today.
Hey, thanks for having me. That was a very nice intro. Appreciate it.
Am I right though? Is it 70? What's the
It
percentage?
is 75% wholesome. I was impressed that you remembered my silly Twitch antics. Thank you.
was that a beanie or a hat that you made?
Yeah,
as well?
it was a beanie. Everyone kept
That's
calling
awesome.
me the Wholesome DJ, but I felt like I had to clarify that, I'm human and I listen to some very unwholesome songs.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
ratchet.
yeah, I was kind of curious to know, yeah, what's the origin of that exactly, the wholesome DJ?
Oh, I think it was my third stream, like before I even had affiliate. Some randoms in my chat, like they were just commenting on my energy. They're like, she's really wholesome. I think maybe it was like Blue Fusion might have been the specific user who said it first, but it was echoed by everybody else throughout this stream. And it literally continued like stream after stream, week after week. So I was like, fuck it. Like, this is how you'll remember me. I'm the wholesome DJ. And sometimes, like, and I think I remember looking up the definition of wholesome. And afterwards, I was like, yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with that. Because, I'll play music and I'll do my thing, but without even trying to, I often share very like mom-ish, like auntie tips where I'm like, hey, don't forget to wear sunscreen, stuff like that. Like that's just my energy. I can't help it.
I love it though. I mean, wearing sunscreen is really important these days. Being from New Zealand, I know that firsthand. It's skin damage is serious.
Yes.
Actually, if I may, just indulge you in a bit of Kiwi New Zealand youth culture. When I was when I was younger, sun is obviously a real problem, skin cancer in New Zealand. So they have like this public health kind of saying in New Zealand called "slip, slop, slap," and it's slip on a t-shirt, slop on some sunscreen, and slap on a hat. So there you go.
Oh, I love that. I am also all about hats. So yeah,
Awesome.
that's a motto to live by.
Absolutely. Hey, I want to give a quick shout out to the homies that have tuned in. We got Joey Caller, Twitches Our Radio, DJ Destruct, Burnt CDs, Constant Pro, JOC, SOCJ, my bad. So thank you everyone who's tuned in right now. We got Dance Electric JC, F105 Darwin. Hopefully I'm saying all these right. But yeah, thank you so much to everyone who's tuned in right now to the show. And shout out to everyone who watches on or listens on Spotify or anywhere else you listen to podcasts or YouTube. But yeah, look, I really wanted to congratulate Lani, you on your latest release. But not only is it your latest release, it's also your second release this year. So yeah, huge congratulations on Iced Coffee and Candlestick Flicker. Now, I wanted
Thank
to
you.
ask you a little bit about these tracks because you've been working on production for some time now. But this is the first time I've heard your vocal on tracks. Can you tell me about how that journey has been for you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you've heard me talk about my interest in production for years now. Um, Whether it was, playing with um, Serato and like I was trying to make a beat a day for like a month. I forgot how many years ago it was. I did not successfully make a beat a day, but I had started a ton of ideas. But it took me a while to figure out how to make those ideas into songs that I was excited to play. And I think quarantine made me just more comfortable with my voice, like in from streaming on Twitch. Like on top of people telling me that I had wholesome energy, they also told me they liked my voice. So I think feeling more comfortable with my voice, I started recording it more, like both for vocals, but also sometimes I would use it just to like hum to myself what I thought might be a cool bass line or melodic flourish in a song. So it was just a quicker way for me to get ideas down, because sometimes maybe I couldn't necessarily play out what I wanted to hear in a song, but I just embraced my voice and I would like hum it or sing it or something, record it, and then finish it up like the next day.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's I feel like using your voice is a real. I mean, for me personally, I don't sing at all, and I'm terrified of using my voice. So it's so awesome
Yeah.
to see that you've like fully embraced it and you're comfortable with it, because that's I think the hardest bit, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. Like I took voice lessons actually for a very short period of time, but just um, with the intent of making myself comfortable enough to record like scratch vocals or demos to send to people. And I remember that the vocal coach was like, "Your pitch is fine. Like you have great pitch. I don't know what you're so worried about." And I was like, "My voice sucks." She's like, "No, I just need you just need to be more confident. Like I can hear the shakiness in it, but your pitch is fine." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I should not be so harsh."
That's got to help though, right? Having someone kind of just give you a little bit of a push in that direction.
Totally. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you're saying like on Twitch, as DJs, I never really used the mic, and then on Twitch it kind of forced me into talking to an audience and talking to people, and I think what you're talking
Yeah.
about, actually I spoke to another artist about this, like you can really tell like people's vulnerability through their voice, like you can really pick up a lot on how they're feeling, through just their tone and the way they speak. I think about it all the time, and Twitch really
Yeah.
kind of made me rip that band-aid off and just like go for it, you know?
Yeah. Like you can tell, especially in the early days of Twitch, you could tell who was streaming because they enjoyed it and who was doing it because they felt like they had to be there. Like even just in the way they said hi to people, right? They're like, "Oh, yeah, what's up? Like, thanks for joining us," you know? Like, or they'd be shouting people out and they're like, "Yeah, what's up? What's going on?" But it was so like the same greeting with every person, same kind of like, "Yeah, I guess I have to be here." Like you can tell it's very hard to fake.
Yeah.
And if you can fake it, maybe you should be acting as well, you know?
Or at least in radio.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it was a challenging time, that's for sure. Like I spoke to Spenurita about it last week, and we just talked a lot about how it was like, you know, streaming. Yeah, like it wasn't for everybody, but it was also like kind of the one thing that kind of kept people going. Not only the audience, but also as DJs gave us something to do. And you really
Totally.
embraced that fully, as well as your crew, Club Mesh, which I would like to talk about in a little bit. But before we do that, actually, I do really, really want to play your latest song, "Iced Coffee." So let's just
Yeah, let's do
step over to Serato here and just give that a run one time. So everyone who hasn't heard this already, this is DJ Lani Love's latest single, "Iced Coffee." So let's go.
I'm iced coffee, baby. Get iced coffee, baby. Cool ice hype. Just a sip will make you crazy. I'm iced coffee, baby. Taste this coffee, baby. Sweet, big drip. Even haters think I'm wavy, wavy, wavy. Cool ice hype, wavy, wavy. Uống cà phê đi baby, muốn đi chơi không baby? Anh chơi nhậu làm gì để lái Mercedes? Uống cà phê đi baby, nói tiếng Việt đi baby. Lắng tai nghe, mình nói lớn thì mình khỏi phải chia. Cool ice hype.
So that's all we can really play for now. But big up Lani Love on her track DJ Lani Love with Iced Coffee. Shout out to everyone who's throwing the iced coffee emote in the chat too. And if you haven't heard this, or you want to play the song on your own time, just type an exclamation point follow, and you'll be able to listen to that on all DSPs, stream platforms, etc. And follow Lani Love on IG and Twitch. But I want to ask you about this song in particular. What's what was the idea? What was the inspiration behind this song?
I always wanted to make a song that incorporated some Vietnamese and English. I actually had a track that I made years ago called Viet Q. I think around 4 years ago was when I started recording some ideas. A lot of them terrible, but like there were little gems there that I'm actually kind of now developing into songs that I like. Um, but when I think about Vietnamese culture and what's a lot of people are familiar with, they usually know pho, banh mi, and cafe soda, iced coffee. So I thought, yeah, let's make this into a tune. And I was just inspired by like the different elements of iced coffee. The condensed milk is sweet, it's thick, you know.
Absolutely. It's definitely picks you up too. Now, what is your favorite iced coffee location in Los Angeles? Like, if you're like, this is the one, this is the spot. If you've never had Vietnamese iced coffee, where are you gonna tell people to go?
Oh no, I don't know because I make it all the time. That's terrible. Um, yeah, I don't actually. So I'll say LA. There's not a ton of Vietnamese like restaurants. Most of it's in Orange County because Little Saigon is like our hub. So
Okay.
there's probably a bunch of places making like a solid Vietnamese iced coffee, but I make it at home the most.
So you'd
But anywhere
suggest,
in Chinatown, there's, huh?
so you'd suggest just try making it at home because it's like it's condensed milk, but it's a specific way of
Yeah.
brewing the coffee. Is that right?
Yeah. So it's really easy. I'm actually on my to-do list is to film a little piece of content on how to make iced coffee, and I will be sharing it. But this brand Wing Coffee Supply, that's my last name. I'm not. I wish it was my coffee brand. It's not. But it's started by a fellow Vietnamese American first gen, and it's the beans are from Vietnam. I think they're um, prepared in Brooklyn and shipped everywhere. And they have a tutorial on how to make it. So you put it into this little drip filter, you pour a little bit of hot water over it, let the beans kind of grow and bloom, and then you pour in the rest of the water, let it drip. You can always add milk or creamer of your choice after, but if you're doing it the traditional way, you line the bottom of the cup with condensed milk.
Mm.
So when the hot coffee drips, it melts the
Mm.
condensed milk. You stir it all together, and then ice.
That sounds amazing. We got DJ D
Yeah.
Strike has a question for you though. He wants to know your thoughts on instant Vietnamese coffee.
There are some solid ones, but I will say that with the instant ones, I think a lot of what you're tasting tends to be just the milk and
Mm.
sugar. So it's delicious. But if you really want the strong, like, fragrance that comes with coffee, a fresh one's always better. But an instant one will suffice.
In a pinch.
Hold you over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Papalok, shout out Papalok in here. He says Garden Grove seems
Yeah.
to be a good location for a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Garden Grove, Westminster, Little Saigon. It's all the Orange County hub.
that's awesome. I'm gonna have to try one of these spots out next time I'm down there. And yeah,
Yes, I'll take you on a tour.
please, yeah, I'd love that. In fact, you've put me into a lot of really great food in LA, and your family has a really great restaurant that I like in downtown LA. What's the name of
Yeah,
your
Olak.
Olak? That's right. Yeah, and it's all
Yeah.
vegan, right?
Yeah, AULAC. My mom started the original one in Orange County in '97, and then my sister opened one about 8 years ago at First and Hope. It's near the Broad, um, Grand Park, Walt Disney Concert Hall. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great location to just like I love that area, and our studio is pretty close to that area, and I go for a walk all the ways up there, and yeah, it's really great food. So if you're ever in LA and you need some good Vietnamese and vegan food, this will tick both boxes for you really well. Um, Now on the song, yeah, you mentioned you rap in Vietnamese and English, which is really cool. What was your decision to do that exactly?
First of all, I don't know if I'm nervous to identify with the verb rap because I'm not a rapper.
Okay.
I'm just saying words in a slightly rhythmic pattern.
I mean, that's rapping, right?
But yeah, I guess. But it's because I know so many good rappers that I'm so nervous to be even like floating my name in orbit near that. But yeah, sorry, your question was about um, melodically or rhythmically speaking Vietnamese words on the track.
Yeah, exactly. What was your
Yeah.
decision, like, or inspiration for that?
Oh, um, I listen to a lot of dance music, and a lot of house tracks. Like the vocals are fairly minimal. So, you might just be hearing techno and tequila like over and over. And it's just all about that really kind of chill, effortless vocal that is chopped and kind of repeated throughout the song in a sort of hypnotic fashion. And again, from streaming, my community would tell me that my voice they found soothing, to the point where I actually have a stream on Sundays called Let's Fucking Go to Sleep.
That's right. That's right. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, and I play chill songs, and I'm the only DJ who wants to put people to sleep. But that's one day a week. Don't you dare fall asleep on a Friday set. I'll be freaking insulted.
Yeah. That's kind of, you've got some good emotes for this. I'm gonna throw them in the chat. You got the LFG vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sunday, what a perfect time for it too. Everyone's exhausted. They've spent the weekend partying, so yeah, it's a perfect idea.
Yeah.
And you've also highlighted some really cool videos on TikTok, highlighting emerging like Viet trap songs and artists. How did you discover those artists?
Well, when I started writing some of my Vietnamese/English songs about like a few years ago, I wanted to immerse myself and listen to some Vietnamese artists like from Vietnam. So I just started slowly building a playlist, and then in quarantine, I had a deadline to work against because I knew I wanted to do a special stream for Lunar New Year, since it didn't look like we were going to be going outside. So I just kept collecting music. I would look up artists and see who they worked with. And I think especially with the younger generation of Vietnamese rappers, they tend to collaborate. So there are very few tracks where it's just one rapper. It tends to be like 2+. So I would look up like in the links, all the Facebooks or Instagrams or SoundClouds I'd link to, and just, go down the wormhole.
That's awesome. Would you suggest if people wanted to learn more about that, like, is it like SoundCloud still like the destination for people to explore and find that kind of music, or where would be best?
I think SoundCloud or YouTube. I think YouTube's a little bit better for Vietnamese like rap. I mean, a lot of them will upload to SoundCloud, but they don't necessarily always link to everything. But I've noticed YouTube is just YouTube and Facebook are two really big platforms in Vietnam.
Awesome. Yeah, it's crazy. Like that's the great thing about SoundCloud, YouTube, and stuff. It's really made the world a little closer, and it's given like the ability to explore and find out new things that we otherwise wouldn't have heard about. Is TikTok also one of those places that you find is really good for that?
Actually, I don't know if it's because I'm not following the right people, but I haven't seen that many Vietnamese artists on TikTok yet. I think like Facebook and Instagram still reign supreme for most of, at least the people that are on my radar. Those seem to be their main ways to share things.
Cool. Yeah, it's really interesting to see you make those videos, because I have heard literally none of those artists, but it's really exciting to hear the different kind of sounds that are coming out of Vietnam, and obviously it's got a huge huge subculture there for rap music and probably other things too, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been so cool to see Vietnamese rap shape and grow into what it is now. Like there was even a show called Viet Rap, like an American Idol, but rapping.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because, I loved hip hop in like the 90s and 2000s, and I would look for Vietnamese rap, and I was like, at least then it wasn't it. I was like, it's just not hitting. It was like, part of it I'm sure was production, but I also felt like the language didn't lend itself tonally to the style of beats that were trendy then. Now with trap being a thing, I think there's a little bit more room. So Vietnamese being a tonal language, where your inflection really affects what you're saying, I think having that space, it just works really nicely with a trap beat.
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't think of it, but the space makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the 90s was very illable, killable, syllable. It's very, very, very fast. So yeah, wordy.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, is this I mean, and it could just be that maybe the rappers then, it was too new. Like it's now the Gen Z generations had the chance to build off of millennials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But going back to your production, it feels like you've really identified the sound that you want to make in particular, which, that usually, that's taken me. I mean, I still struggle with that personally. But,
Yeah.
how did you arrive at like your sound?
Yeah. That's so nice of you to say that because I feel like I didn't even, I don't know if I actually have a sound yet because I'm still so new on my producer journey. But my current goal is just to make songs that I would genuinely want to play. Um, and that's kind of like all I can hold myself accountable to, I guess. And once I feel like I've really honed in a sound, I would love to make an EP or something that people are like, oh, why don't you make more music? And I was like, I am. They're just individual pieces because that's just where my skill set is at. But I think there's just certain sounds or patterns that I gravitate towards. So maybe, I would hope there's some consistency in things that I make, even if I don't approach them in any sort of methodical way.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. In fact, I'd really like to take this time to play your other song that you released really only, 2 months ago,
Yeah.
Candlestick Flicker. And I've been playing this song. I've really enjoyed this song. It's super cool. I think if people in the chat,
Yay.
I mean, you've got the emote, right? You've got the flicker
Yeah.
emote. So,
Yes. And shout out Dance Electric JC from my community. He actually animated that for me.
oh, yeah, shout out. Yeah, thank Dance
Yeah.
Electric JC. We got the Candlestick. So, yeah, let's play that song real quick, and then we'll talk a little bit about that, too. Let's jump over to Serato. I've got it all queued up here. Here we go. Candlestick Flicker by DJ Lani Love.
Oh, cute. Look, our heads are floating in the chat.
Flicker. Flicker. Make the beat sicker. Candlestick flicker, make the beat sicker. Make us lock eyes and move a little closer. Candlestick flicker, make the beat sicker. Make us lock eyes and move a little closer. Candlestick flicker. Candlestick flicker, make the beat sicker. Make us lock eyes and move a little closer. Candlestick flicker. Make the beat sicker. Sicker. Candlestick flicker. Flicker. Flicker.
Make the beat sicker.
There we go. That's DJ Lani Love's Candlestick Flicker, and that's available now also. So just type an exclamation point follow, and you'll be able to get access to that. Oh. Yeah, so this song, I think I'd mentioned to you, I think has a really, I love this song, like I was saying. It has like a DFA vibe. Is that like a fair, kind of like accurate inspiration for this, or was that am I completely off?
No, that's totally fair. I actually didn't even think about it as an inspiration because it's not like it wasn't at all in a reference track when I made this song. But when I think about music that I listened to early, especially early in my DJ journey, DFA was like in very heavy rotation. So yeah, once you said that, I was like, oh, that's dope. And like, made me feel especially good about my track because I love all DFA remixes.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I was hoping it was a
Yeah.
complimentary observation because yeah, I love DFA also, and I really, I mean, I love the song, this tempo, like this kind of the way the bass moves and all that. It's like kind of like post punky but really dancey, and yeah, I just it's got great energy. So it was all the things that I loved about DFA and what you're doing. It's like really really cool. So yeah, congratulations on that one.
Thank you.
Now,
Bloghouse forever.
yeah, exactly. In fact, I think I first was introduced to you around like kind of just the ending era of Bloghouse around 2011 or yeah, 2011 I
Yeah.
think.
Hmm.
And I think yeah, that you were in Chicago at the time. Oh no, you were in New York at the time?
Yeah, I was in Chicago.
You
Yeah,
were in
I
Chicago.
just freshly moved there.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, because you lived in Brooklyn and Chicago, but you're originally from LA. Um,
Yeah.
how did those cities like kind of influence you musically?
I mean, if it wasn't for my move to New York, I might have started DJing, but probably a little bit later. Like moving to New York, I didn't know if how long I would live there. So I told myself that I ha- I was in an Orange County bubble. Like that's where I grew up, and I think I was played life fairly safe. So, I was planning to just like get a corporate job and do all the things that people supposedly are supposed to do. But in moving to New York, that was like a swerve from my original plans. I thought I would just be a California girl for life. And so, abandoning everything that I had kind of known, I wanted to make sure I made the most of my time in New York. So, on this like aspirational wish list was learning how to DJ. And yeah, it was like perfect. Being in Brooklyn, I met Morsy, Morsy, who I was following on MySpace because of Bloghouse. And I learned how to DJ from him and was like his intern slash apprentice for a little bit. And I think being around him and, prime Bloghouse era really shaped like my journey. Like when I think about early days in Brooklyn, like Diplo played at the Apple Store back then. There were so many free parties that were sponsored by like Pepsi, Hennessy, Scion.
Oh yeah, Scion. Shout out Scion.
Yeah, it's like super Scion. They made so many producers' careers in the 2000s.
R.I.P. Scion. They did so much for the culture. It was a
They
time.
really did.
I,
Yeah.
I
I
think
hope their marketing managers are doing bigger and better things, reaping the benefits of their legacy.
absolutely every time I see a Scion, I think fondly of that time too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean Brooklyn, what a time and so much great music. That's insane. And then so when you moved to Chicago, Chicago also has obviously extremely rich music history. And
Yeah.
how was that?
I mean, obviously, Chicago, so there's like Smart Bar, amazing venue, such a great place to see house and dance music. Had the chance to see Frankie Knuckles before he passed. So really feel grateful to have had that experience. But, Derek Carter, like so many iconic people are from there, play sets there. So I think that obviously has made it into like my psyche. But on a more like personal level, I just think the average DJ like at your neighborhood bar is so good in Chicago.
Mm.
Like the community of DJs there, like the talent is so good. And I think part of that, my personal hypothesis is that with a city that gets so freaking cold, like we're talking negative degrees, you can't have an average DJ. Like people aren't going to come to your bar to see someone train wreck songs they've already hear at home or on the radio. Then you have to be bringing something extra. So yeah, I just feel like any DJ that you see in Chicago is probably going to be better than the average DJ you see in some other big cities.
I have very fond memories of hanging out with you in Chicago in I guess 2014 or 15 or something. And I remember we went to this
Yeah.
really cool. You took me to this really cool bar. It was with my cousin and I, and you, and I think one of your friends. I can't remember, but it felt like it wasn't Big Freedia, but it was somebody like Big Freedia doing a show there.
Oh yes, Katie Red at Empty Bottle. Yes,
Yeah, it was a crazy
that
night.
twerking was insane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
Still
I
to this date, some of the best working I've ever seen.
yeah, that was what I really it really left an impression on me. I was like, wow, Chicago is crazy. I love this place. And it was
Yeah.
just such an interesting night. Like I just yeah, a real one for the books for sure. And yeah, a real great introduction to Chicago, just being like an interesting music city. Thank you again so
You
much
have
for that.
such a good, yeah, you have such a good memory. I'm so
Yeah,
glad you revived that one. I wouldn't want that one to fade.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was incredible. I want to give a quick shout out to a couple people in the chat that just joined us: DJ Nails, DJ 9R, and Maple Kimchi, F105 Darwin. We got Bout to Blaze, NJ2AK. Thank you guys all so much for joining us. My boss Subliminals in the chat, the DJ1, the Real in Air, Grade D and B, the producer DJ, Russ 99Z, or Z, depending on which country you're in. Sassy Bear 18. Yeah, we got a lot of cool people in here. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. With our chat with DJ Lani Love today. Okay, so going back to music stuff. Did you play any instruments growing up? Like your Orange County years, was there like were you in like a ska
Yeah.
band or like a
I
No
was
Doubt
never
or
in a
something?
band. I wish, but no doubt was my second CD that I ever bought, you
Oh
know.
wow.
And then uh I was super into ska though. Real Big Fish, um around the days of like AOL's free CDs, like I used my limited internet time to visit like a Real Big Fish like fan site.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyways, to answer your question about instruments, I played piano and violin, like many young obedient Asian children do.
Well, I play piano, but not violin. That's a hard one. The violin is a very hard instrument, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, yeah. So I did quit violin sooner than I did piano, um, but I wish I had stuck with it, obviously, because I'd be probably a better producer. But I just Ben Folds 5 didn't enter my life soon enough.
Oh,
So
really? Wow. We're
yeah,
gonna go Ben Folds 5. Okay.
I feel like that could have changed things because my piano lessons, I was only playing classical music by really like old European men that I couldn't relate to as a teen.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The classical
there was no
stuff.
joy in it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to stay inspired. But yeah, no doubt. Maple Kimchi, the first CD was no. Sorry, did you say No Doubt was the first CD or was the second CD?
It was the second one.
Oh,
The
so what was
first
the
one
first one?
was Alanis' Jagged Little Pill,
Hey, CanCon.
1995. Yeah.
That's awesome. Um, so yeah, no doubt. So sorry, Alanis Morissette, grunge. This is we're talking like peak grunge era here, right? Were you also a grunge
Yeah.
fan?
Yeah, I was into grunge. I've My music taste is really pretty eclectic. Yeah, I was super into grunge, like alternative rock. I even went through emo punk.
Oh,
Like
nice.
I was all about it. Just suburban teenage angst, man.
Yeah, hard OC days, I guess. It's funny though. I think about the the Real Big Fish comment and No Doubt, and I think a lot about Vans Warped Tour. Did you ever go to a Vans Warped Tour?
Hell yeah. And I still have some of the stickers from those days because I had a blog that I contributed to with a couple other kids from the internet. It was like emotionalpunk.com.
Oh
And so I
wow.
had a little press pass. Yeah. And I was taking pictures on like early digital cameras.
Oh, this is awesome. Because yeah, you've done a lot of blogging and writing. Well, not writing, but you also did a lot of stuff in the fashion world as well. In fact, when I met you, I know you were working in that world.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah. I
you
had
tell me
a
about that?
blog with my friend. I had a blog with my friend Erin, and I also contributed to Racked. It was a Vox Media Group owned property. So it was just like their shopping and retail site. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that must have informed your music tastes as well, surely.
Yeah. I mean, I think like when I hear songs, I instantly start picturing like a setting, a vibe, um, sometimes colors. So I think they all just, these different mediums just kind of, to me, are very closely related. And actually, I shot a music video for Iced Coffee. I can't wait for you to see it.
Oh wow, is that coming out soon?
Yeah, it should be out maybe like next week or the following week. My friend Kyle helped shoot it. He's currently editing it. We went through the clips like last week or the week before, and looks pretty cool. But, but
Is this your first
I
music
just,
video?
yeah,
Wow. Yeah, it's
I rented a car for it like a young rapper would.
that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Um,
Dial Jess is in it, and when we filmed it, actually, we're such like goody two shoes. So we're driving in the Pacific Palisades, and there we had noticed there was a cop, and the instant we see his presence, I hate that we have to be like this, but we just like freeze up. So we're both in like pink dresses in a bright yellow convertible, like the least, you know, it's the most obvious car, and I am definitely driving within the speed limit. There's nothing we should be worried about. But we go from having our hands in the air singing to iced coffee to just like nothing is happening here. We are having no fun. This is just a regular Tuesday.
oh man, yeah, I can't wait to see the
Yeah.
video. To Burn CDs. What up, Cuddy Cutso is in here in the chat. Um,
Cutso in the building.
Got to give a quick shout out to Dale Jess too, of Club Mesh. I want to talk to you about Club Mesh actually, but before I do that, I have to like announce that Dale Jess has made some of the best emotes in the world. This one in particular,
She's
the Buff Garfield, is one of my favorites.
I really love watching Dial Jess's Twitch journey and just her mind. She's so funny, so clever, and so talented.
Yeah, so tell us about Club Mesh and how you guys all like met up.
Yeah, so from the before times, pre-pandemic, I had actually, I'll take it back even further. Let's go back to Bloghouse, 2000s, MySpace. I'm in college on a compact computer, and I'm browsing the Chicago scene because Flosterdamus was hot then, Kid Sister, and then through someone's top eight, I come across this duo. I think they were going by Moneypenny then. They had changed their name at some point to Rocktopusy and maybe back to Moneypenny, but it was Jess and Chess.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so I knew of them back then, and I'm sure like followed them, but I hadn't met them personally. I didn't meet either of them until like I think 2016 is when I met Chess, right as I was like it was like towards the end of my time in Chicago. But we became friends and we kept in touch and even became closer friends despite us living in different cities. And she would tell me about Chess. I mean, Chess would tell me about Jess. Jesus, their names rhyming, like it's so funny. Um, but I was like getting to know Jess a little bit because both lived in LA, but it was still just through Chess. And then the two of them DJ'd together at whenever Jess was in town. And there was a place called Celeste in River North. Top floor, the fourth floor, is where we often DJ together. It's really hot and sweaty. They have kind of like a plastic roof because it's actually like an open air rooftop in the summer. But in the colder seasons, there's like a little plastic on top, and the condensation would just like drip back down on us because it was so cold outside and so hot inside from all the dancing. So they would joke that they'd have to wear mesh, and they're like, "Oh, Club Mesh, it's the hottest club. It has everything." And I think they, did that once, and then they invited me to come along. And we had so much fun, the three of us DJing as at Club Mesh, a place that didn't exist. And we're like, Club Mesh isn't a place; it's a state of mind. And it was kind of just a joke, but I noticed like people would come back to our nights. So I went ahead, being the person I am, secured like the Instagram handle, the domain, all that stuff. And we started throwing monthly parties together for about maybe a year and a half, almost 2 years before pandemic. And then when I started streaming during quarantine, I'm no psychic by any means, but I just had a feeling 2 weeks seemed a little ambitious as a way to get rid of like a global virus.
Mm.
So I'm like, I don't think I think we might be out of work for a little bit. So I didn't even know you could monetize Twitch. I just literally thought it would be a good way to sustain some of the excitement and energy we had around Club Mesh because we were doing it monthly. Um, so I'm like, hey guys, like hop onto Twitch with me. Like let's at least do like a monthly, like one stream in place of our party. And then we saw how the pandemic played out, so we just kept streaming.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Club Mesh. Thank you so much for having me play on the Club Mesh channel once. And yeah, Jess, shout out to Dial Jess, Miss Chestnut. You guys are a really great trio. You guys just are awesome, all equally awesome. It's super awesome.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for supporting us. I feel when I think about people who are really good advocates for other talent and diversity and all of that, like you definitely are a shining example of how to support people.
Oh, sweet. That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. I don't know what to say. Moving on though. What do you like most about being part of a DJ group like Club Mesh, you know, like as opposed to just being a
Yeah.
single DJ?
Well, the company, the companionship. I think people often mistaken like the party lifestyle as us having like tons of friends, and I'm like, more yes, a lot of people know our names, but we're working like we're not having conversations or chatting with people when we're DJing. We're like doing something, so it can be a pretty like lonely journey if you let it be. But it can also be one that allows you to connect with people too if you are mindful about it and take the opportunity to form genuine connections. Like a lot of my great best friends are through DJing, but I think it's because we put in the effort to talk outside of like a loud club or drunken night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just interesting because you know, every now and then I'll have a conversation with people about just, you know, from when I was younger I played in bands, and so there was like kind of like more of a team, you know, mentality, like we're doing this together, we've got a common goal, we're all trying to achieve this thing as a group. But with DJs, you know, the nature of it is more of an individual, often, like you said, it can be quite lonely, or, you know, you're just out there on your own. And
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, it's almost like you get so used to that, or people think so much just about their thing that even the concept of being in a group is like kind of weird, or, you know, obviously there's strength in numbers, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's also like a lot of sacrifice, right? Like making decisions together and compromising with each other. So it can be hard both ways. But do you guys
Totally.
come to a lot of decisions together, or, you know, like do you navigate those things pretty easily?
Yeah. I think you know like we have very distinct personalities and points of view. I think what has helped is we almost feel like our decisions are sometimes greater than any of our three personal opinions. Like we have a community now,
Mm.
so it's really just thinking about like what's best for the group at large. um, so when we pick a venue, when we pick a date or a theme, we're thinking about all the mesh heads and what that experience would be like for them. So that helps. And then I will say that yeah, we definitely have our differences because we're three grown women with like very different lifestyles. But the great benefit of us being like collaborators is that we I think push each other to grow. I think our Twitch journeys, had we not continued Club Mesh and that group mentality, I don't know that we would have grown as fast or had as much success and innovated as quickly. Like, you know, it like for example, channel point redemptions. Like I had a few that I was doing like the plant dance, and then Dial Jess then started. She was like, "Oh, channel point redemptions are a thing." So then she came up with like her dad redemption and chicken bat and all of that, and from there, then, next thing you know, Chess is doing her get learnt, or, like it's just, we build off of one another whether sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's subconscious, but I think each person just kind of slowly like raises the stakes and raises the bar.
I really love your collective sense of humor, though. Like the humility and the fun that you guys have is really intoxicating, and it's like it seems very like consistent and on brand for all of you. You'll have a lot of like fun jokes, and like every time I'm in any of your streams, it's just like a lot of fun and a lot of kind of in jokes and humor.
Yeah, like we literally can't help ourselves. I think it's just that's probably why I look forward to DJing with them so much. Is it just makes every gig better. Like whenever I get an inquiry, if it seems like a worthwhile, like a big enough opportunity, I often pitch bringing in Dial Jess or Miss Chestnut or both if I can, because I just know it will be better.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, I always like, this might not be the best comparison, but there's always like, when I was in school or whatever, there was like this cool group, and they were always like had their own thing. They just totally didn't need like anyone else to be in their zone, and they just were like totally like aspirational, like cool people. You know what I mean? Like, and it feels like you guys are kind of like cool people.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you to say.
But one of the things you also do a lot is you share quite a lot of new music to you and Club Mesh audience. And you do that and through your TikTok as well. But as a DJ, how important is that to you?
I think it's very much a part of the Club Mesh and my personal like DNA as a DJ and curator. Because I think your mind just expands by being exposed to new music. And I just personally am always curious to find new things. There are certainly people who find more new music than I do, like at a greater rate or whatever. But it's important to me to never play the same set, especially DJing as often as I do, both online, offline. Like there are some people who pull up to almost all of my streams. I could never play the same set to them.
Right.
So the new music helps, I think, provide something fresh and different.
Do you think there is a balance, though, as well, of playing certain things, like certain songs, quite frequently? So people I don't know, maybe not ownership isn't the right word, but people.
There's a signature sound or something.
Yeah, or like there's something that you feel like you've introduced or you've kind of provided a platform for,
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not at all trying to take ownership of certain songs, but I think there are songs that very much fit my vibe, or they've become part of like my favorites crate, I would say. So if there's a lit lawn set, so like that's like when I play like a party set or something, there are certain songs that I haven't heard too many other DJs play, but I keep in heavy rotation. So yeah. And then I also think because of things like channel point redemptions, going back to Twitch land, we'll have certain redemptions like Jess has a Moan Zone one. Mine's like a Wholesome swerve. Wholesome minus the L.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever, Yeah. So then we have like certain tracks that kind of stay in heavy rotation for those redemptions.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, it's I feel like that's almost like something personally I get really excited about is if I come across an artist like, this is probably a terrible example now, but I remember when I first came across Channel Trey's, I was like, oh man, this guy is so cool. Yeah. I gotta play his music like all the time. And then I was like, man, I'm just gonna play his music. I want everyone to know about it. And I'm sure I was like super late on the game, but it felt like it was something that I had discovered and I was like introducing to people, and that felt so cool as a DJ to like be like,
don't be so modest. You're very good about finding new tracks. But yeah, Channel Trace, like that was in Club Mesh heavy rotation to pre-pandemic. That was like one that we loved playing.
Right. Yeah. And it's great to see his success. Like, big up Channel Trace. Hopefully we can get you on the podcast eventually at one point. But
yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. And he's also from LA, so shout out LA music productions and house music also. Let's get to the origin story of DJ Lani Love. I gotta know what was the moment that made you decide to be a DJ?
Moving to New York. Yeah. I think just not knowing anyone, I felt like I had to make the most of this new environment that I was in. And then, so I had bought actually Vanguard Bots, who you know.
Oh yeah.
My chat knows him as production. Yeah, so we met through my first post-college job. Like, we were 2 of 8 like associates in this rotational program. It was an effort to increase diversity in the advertising industry.
Okay.
You can do that with 8 people, by the way. And so we met through that, and he, like, when we're just getting to know each other, I remember this conversation specifically. We're on like the train platform after our work orientation, and he's like, "So, what do you do in your free time or whatever?" And I was like, "I really love music, like collecting it. I want to learn how to DJ." And he's like, "You should do that." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll try to. I think I want to try to make that happen." And then 6 months into our job, I saved up enough to buy 1 turntable and a mixer. And he went with me to buy those things. And then I told myself, like, if I can practice mixing between iTunes and like adjusting the pitch on the one record player I had, if I practiced beat matching enough, then I would allow myself to buy a second turntable.
Oh wow.
And I eventually did.
That's awesome. I also got to say that's like massive cheers to Vanguard Bots for the Supportive Partner of the Year award, and
Yeah.
being there from day one in the journey of DJ Lani Love's DJ journey.
Yeah. And as a friend too, with no agenda.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's so cool. So I guess there was there, I mean, you said you met DJ Morsi, but was there a DJ that was like the kind of a catalyst? You went to see a DJ specifically and was like, that's so impressive. Like, I'm inspired by this.
I don't know that there was one DJ, but it's probably just that whole wave of Blog House. So A-Track, Diplo, Hollertronics, like a lot of stuff that was I just found online. I never even got to see them live. But that whole era of DJs, like, really, I loved it because that's when mashups. It's crazy, isn't it crazy that mashups are big again because of TikTok?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, and I knew that fashion kind of traveled in like a 20-year like cycle, but I just didn't see it coming with music. I guess there are some cycles in music too, but I didn't think about it until TikTok.
Yeah, that's really cool. I feel like I have to ask, did you ever go to the Rub? Because I feel like the Rub is such an important part of this.
Oh yeah, the Rub for sure. Banana Split was a party in LA with Aoki and AM. Yeah, so I think all those events really made me want to DJ. And Scion compilation CDs.
It's cool though too, because like talking about when you talked earlier about your going to the Warped Tour and stuff like that, I feel like mashups and that kind of open format time was a very interesting time to get into DJing, because there was a lot of like entry points. Like, you didn't have to say, I just want to be a house music DJ, or I'm just going to be a hip hop DJ. You could be like, I like hip hop, I like house, I like electronic music, I like rock music, I like oldies. I can do all those things now.
Yeah, like I was super into indie rock, like Rapture and all the DFA stuff, LCD Sound System. And so it was so fun to be able to play those songs and like hip hop records that I liked from the 90s and 2000s. It was so fun.
Absolutely. Hey, I want to give a quick shout out. We have Tiger Mom Toy in the house. The homie, the big homie, Tiger Mom Toy. It's great to see you here. Didn't realize you're a Hot Chip fan, but yeah, Hot Chip forever.
Over and over, forever and ever.
It's great to have you here, Allison. So I guess if you got into DJing pre-Serato, I guess you were digging in the vinyl bins.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first like DJ record that you bought?
I don't remember my first one because I bought so many kind of all at the same time. So my first vinyls ever were definitely emo records,
Okay.
like Thursday and Thrice and stuff that I would not necessarily play in a DJ set today. But I think I'm not sure which one was first, but like LCD Sound System, Goldfrapp, MIA, Arular, like probably like those were some of the earlier ones that I bought.
Yeah, that first MIA album is so good, hey?
Yeah,
What a
it still goes.
such a timeless record. And yeah, wow, her whole story is so cool. I really love MIA's, like she was touring with was it L7? She was like touring with a like a grunge electronic grunge band, and Peaches like showed her how to use the drum machine, and then that was like it, and she started like, that's just so cool, like what a
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I remember the first time I saw her, she opened for LCD Sound System.
In New
I
York.
think it was 2000 in LA
Okay.
in 2007. I was in college then. And I remember she got on stage, her hair was like unbrushed. I think she just wore like an Adidas tracksuit, and just her ability to command the stage as just her, like chilling. I was like, she is a star.
Yeah,
It was so fun.
let's hope we get some more MIA music soon, because yeah,
Yeah.
the industry needs MIA. She's
Yeah.
really a powerhouse. So talking about what you're doing with music as a producer, and kind of finding your voice, finding your sound, that's also like a really important thing we're talking about with DJing. I'm curious to know, how important it is like finding your identity as a DJ, and what are some of the things that you've learned that help you kind of define what you wanted to be as a DJ?
I don't know. That's like a really good question because I think it's something I still um, am trying to figure out myself because I have such eclectic taste and I struggle to describe my sound as a DJ sometimes. Because when I say open format, to me, it means like what we talked about, indie rock, hip hop, like, even like other left field genres kind of all in one. But sometimes when you say open format, it just makes someone think like a Vegas big room DJ that plays whatever's hot at the moment. Um, so I'm still kind of figuring it out. I think I have a sound just through the nature of liking what I like and being consistent about my point of view. Like even if a record's hot, if I don't personally identify with it, I probably won't play it in my set. So I think that helps in that some friends will tell me when I used to DJ in retail stores a lot, like at Top Shop, my friends would know if it was me DJing or not, just like the moment they walked in the store, they're like, oh, that's a Lani Love song.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, like a Talking Heads, remix. They're like, that's Lani.
Do you think that's kind of like having integrity in your DJ sets, or I mean that's how I
Yeah.
maybe think of it, right? Like if you're not down with something, you're not going to compromise, perhaps, for
Yeah.
something that you don't believe in.
Well, uh, I I see DJing as very much like a privilege to be able to pursue art um, as like a lifestyle and my source of livelihood because I worked a corporate job for many years and I feel like if I were to compromise, like sure, I have some DJ gigs that I don't love, but if I'm going to take the joy out of this path that I chose, I should just sell out, for lack of a better word, I guess, just go back to corporate and just make like a great salary and get benefits and enjoy a cushy lifestyle, um, rather than taint like this thing that I enjoy so much.
That's really awesome. That's how I really relate to that, because it is kind of a sacred thing, right? It's like,
Yeah.
and that's tough. And I hope that people in the chat don't get this wrong. Like obviously if that's your livelihood, that's your livelihood and there's no shade, but everyone can maybe have like their own approach to this thing, that we love with music. And, my dad even said at one point, said, he was maybe being a bit sarcastic or maybe a little bit dark, but he was like, if you love music, don't get into the music industry. And it was like kind of a warning, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the industry side of the music will maybe rob you a little bit of your love for it, you know. And
Yeah.
it's like you hear things like "Don't meet your heroes," blah blah blah, all these sort of like things.
Right.
But I do agree with you, and I do really feel that if you really, you know, do get a lot of joy out of music, that obviously there can be a real compromise with, you know, the I guess the economic side of doing it for a living,
Yeah.
and
And
navigating
I
that's
mean,
tough.
I do think staying true to your point of view it's fruitful, and it pays off. It can seem sometimes it might seem like you're losing out on reaching everybody, but the truth is, I think just staying true will help you, whether it's blogging, or content creation or DJing. I think in all these things to really establish your voice, it's important. You just have to stick to what you believe, what you're into, and then you can, obviously evolve as like most people and artists do. But you have to start, I think, with some sense of focus.
Yeah, I think that's something you do really, really well, actually. And I think that's what's so cool about when you hear like the Wholesome DJ and all these things. Like this is really like who you are, you know. Like you really lean into you
Yeah,
know, who you are. And I think that actually is like
yeah,
one of those things when we're talking about like using your voice. It's also like a confidence that you have, and then that attracts maybe people feel more. They gravitate to you more because they're like, oh, you're obviously very sure
yeah,
of yourself and cool with being
yeah.
wholesome.
And I legit did fight it, kind of like, because I thought one of my big goals is to DJ like bigger rooms, festivals, type events. Who's gonna book the Wholesome DJ? It's not giving like big stage energy, and I was like, it might be in conflict with my goals, but it is legit who I am. And I think in a way, embracing it has made my community, like people who follow me, have similar energy. Like, it's so sweet, actually. Sometimes I'll have gigs or events that I DJ, and my my wholesome crew from Twitch, or Instagram, whatever, like some people will come out to see me, but they won't say hi because they know that I'm working. They're like, well, I knew you're working, so I didn't want to disrupt you. And I was like, no, I've had to now establish, like, please say hi for our lives to intersect. We don't know how many times that can happen, so please stop by. Um, but yeah, I'll have fans that will come up and they'll be like, hey, I know you're setting up. I just want to say hello because you told me to say hello, and I'll catch you later.
That's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
hey, well, Allison says she'll book the Wholesome DJ. So yeah, you've got definitely some
Thank
bookings
you,
from
Tiger Mom.
from Allison. And shout out the producer DJ for the 100 bits.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Thanks for
that.
the cheers.
And also I saw Karikatsu mention that MIA announced a new project yesterday. So that's
Oh,
exciting.
snap.
So thank you for the update there. I'm looking forward to that. I also saw that Little Dragon has released a new song, so
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that as well.
And shout out Cutso. He's one of the friends that I often send my half-baked ideas to, like my songs. And he's like one of the people that I'm like, pulse check, like, is this song a vibe?
Oh yeah,
So,
and he's got great taste. Cuddy Cutso has a great ear. He's a great producer and DJ himself. And
yeah.
we've also got DJ Lowkey in here. Shout out Lowkey, Good Music Twitch president.
Yes.
Thank you so much for tuning in. He's got a great party coming up actually this weekend in San Francisco. If you're in,
Yes, with the live-in proof.
that's right. Another wholesome DJ, one of the most wholesome.
Yeah. But Loki's so awesome. I got to play his goodness party in Denver a couple weeks ago, and there was a literal rainbow. Like, it rained a little bit, and the sun came out, and there was a rainbow just shining for his party. How
Oh,
epic.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
What an
Thank
awesome.
you, Loki, again for that.
Yeah, I got to come down to Denver sometime and say
Yeah.
hi and play that party one of these days, very soon. Um, now, we have a question that we ask every guest on the show, and I'd really like to ask you. I feel like you have a really great answer for it too. And that is, what does the power of music mean to you?
Power of music means being able to change someone's energy and like change an entire room's vibe just with a song. I think we've seen the power of music over quarantine, time that was very dark and confusing, and pretty devastating for a lot of people. And then being able to listen to music kind of restored people's sense of like, calm, it even brought people joy. Like, I think quarantine has highlighted how important music is, like, more than ever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. It can unlock memories, it can unlock old memories with your throwback tunes, or you can create new ones with new whatever.
That's what's so cool about being a DJ. Hey, like, there's always a part of me
Yeah.
that's secretly like hoping that I've helped in some part played the right song at the right time for someone that they're always gonna have like in their mind as like, oh yeah, I was at this party and you played this song and I don't know, I met this person, I had this realization, and
Yes. There are a few songs like that in the Club Mesh world. So there's a Marie Davidson Soul Wax remix of Work, and we've played it, like, we've rinsed the hell out of that record in our sets. But when we played it live at our first post quarantine party, I brought out the inflatable avocado and, like, did my human clown show thing. And then threw the avocado out into the crowd, and it like crowd surfed to the back of the room, and then like back to the front. And that we threw the pit too, and actually shared a clip of that with Vanguard Bots' cousin, and he's like a very sassy man. He's like, wow, I have no idea what that was, but congratulations.
hey, that makes
Yeah.
me think. I don't know this work. Is it Work at Marie Davidson, the Soulwax remix?
Yes,
Can we play that for a second? I don't really know if I am familiar
that
with this.
song is so good. Like, if you like Soul Wax, I mean, just like all their other records, it's awesome.
Okay. Well, we're gonna go in pretty. I don't like know how this starts.
It's okay. The build is great.
Okay, cool. So this is
Like,
Work at.
every second of the song, like, there's Club Mesh memories with it.
Okay, awesome.
Little
This is
pitch bend. The avocado is leaning backwards. Like, it was so fun. Our mesh heads were literally screaming in this moment. I think there might be a clip of it on YouTube. I'm not sure, but
okay. Oh wow, this is gonna See if we get some mesh emotes in the chat.
You wanna know how I get away with everything? I work all the fucking time.
fucking time.
From Monday to Friday, Friday to Sunday. I love it. I work. So when I say come on, I mean come on. You've got to work with me. Nah, I don't wanna see any fake ass workers. I need real builders. Work, work it. Work, work to be a winner. Sweat, work it. Sweat, sweat to be a winner. I wanna smell you. Yeah, I wanna smell you. I wanna smell you even from far away. I wanna smell you. I wanna feel you. So I can know if you're a winner, baby. Work, work it. Work, work to be a winner. Winners, work it good. Sweat, sweat to be a winner. How does that feel? Tell me how
We're gonna
does
have to
that feel?
keep it kind of short because we've got the DMCA on our butt. But
Yeah.
it sounds like this is how Buff Garfield gets to his state.
Yeah, he works.
Definitely
All
some.
the fucking time.
Yeah, there's only one way to get that buff, Garfield, and that's not eating lasagna and dancing to that song a lot.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, the this is an interesting segue.
And like another one more example of a song just like sticking, having really strong memories. Victoria Rollins was our guest at our second party, and she played an ABBA track, and it just so happened perfect timing. That was when one of our mesh heads, Icy, came out in an inflatable Pikachu costume, and it was like it made for a very epic moment. So it was the night that the mask mandate came back in place in July. Delta variant was on the rise. So it was like, yeah, you can enter our party without a mask, but at midnight, sure, some clubs didn't enforce it, but we're very cautious here at Club Mesh. So we handed out masks at the entryway, and we're like, it's a crystal mesh rave. So the whole theme of that party, was that it was a rave. And at midnight, a giant Pikachu emerged and was glowing from all the like glow sticks in the audience.
Oh my gosh, that is epic. Yeah, I see as an MVP. We got Sophie Tucker Daly in here. What up, Sophie Tucker Daly? Thank you for tuning in. We got the psychology department here too. We got Veggie Delight, Russ 99Z. I think I said that already. Matt D is here. Thank you guys all for being here. This is really awesome. Now the question I had for you. This is probably a bit of an odd segue, but. What do you hope to achieve as a legacy as a DJ, or what sort of, I guess, legacy would you like to leave as a DJ?
So I think legacy feels so ambitious. I think if you talk to me like in my 20s or my years as a teen, I wanted to have some grand legacy, have like a really big impact, and be known by many. And I think in more recent years, my goal has shifted where I just hope to have a meaningful relationship and impact with the people that do know who I am. So I just want to be remembered as, bringing people joy, like brightening their day, and whether it's through sharing good music or just like creating an ambiance that was really fun. Like, I think I'd be happy with that.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great goal. I know what you mean though. I guess that sounds pretty. It's quite a big question, right? Legacy is a interesting word.
Like, if there's some just small takeaway that people get from watching my streams or going to my parties, like I just would hope that maybe they learn a little bit more about Vietnamese culture. Like that's something I would hope to sprinkle in. But yeah, just if people feel some sense of joy from my music, my sets, like I'd be so satisfied with that.
That's amazing. Now I've discovered this artist, another artist. Are you aware of another Lani Love in the world?
Yes, I am, because I think it was around 2011, early days of Instagram. I'm like hashtagging my stuff with both DJ Lani Love and just Lani Love. And then I'm like, wow, my hashtag, it's like a baby, the parent, and you know what? She's cute baby, like whatever. So I kind of like abandoned the hashtag because the parents were posting so many baby photos. And little did I know that this baby would grow to become an internet celebrity of her own accord. So yeah, I'm sure there's a lesson in copyright or something there, but
yeah, well, I was also quite impressed by her song, Lani Love, the other Lani Love. She's got a song called Keeping It Cute. Have you heard of this song?
Not that one, no.
Okay, do you mind if we play that?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, this
is the other Lani Love, also pretty talented, might I add, but this is yes. Keeping It Cute by Lani Love.
Princess, keep it cute. Lani Love.
Blazing on the track, wait.
Flexed up in the suit, still keeping it cute. Heavy try outdo, I'm keeping it cute. My
Okay, that's all we've got for now. But I
Wow.
would really love if at some point we get a Lani Love, DJ Lani Love collab or remix,
Yeah. A squared. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
right? Like an up-tempo Lani
That
Love with a guest verse by DJ Lani Love as well
yeah.
would be fire,
How does this youth have so much swag? Oh my God.
right? It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like her and Zaza, I feel like they should go on tour. Do you know Zaza?
Ah, no, I'm not up on Zaza.
Oh, Zaza, I think that her Instagram was Red Carpet Girls, like with a Z, and she has a song. I think it's like "What It Do" or something like that, and same, just really swaggy kids bop. Like her videos, I think she was 4 when she first like did like she was on Power 106 with like Big Boy and just very confident, like amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
Zaza.
very impressed by both Lani Loves, but yeah, this I didn't know at I don't even know how old she is, but that's impressive swag for 4, 5, 6. I don't even know. It's
Oh,
pretty
you,
good.
yeah, I can't, when I can't ID ages of kids, I'm just like, oh, very young.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the other Lani Love. As I was saying though, please go and stream DJ Lani Love's latest song, Iced Coffee or Candlestick Flicker, which are both available on all streaming services right now. Just type in !follow. In fact, I'll do it for you in the chat, and you'll be able to follow her also on Instagram and Twitch if you don't already. Because yeah, do yourself a favor and do that. But yeah, look, I think that's about it for today, Lani. I really wanted to thank you so much for your time, and it's really great to finally have you on the show. I know we've been friends for over a decade now, and it's just so cool to see everything that you're doing as a producer. Yeah, it's inspiring. So, is there anything that
Thank
you
you.
wanted to let anyone know about? I know you said you have a video coming out. Is it next week?
Video. Yeah, it should be still editing. So I think next week or the following week I'll be posting about it on social, I'm sure. And then Mesh Fest actually with Club Mesh. We're doing 3 events back to back. August 19th, 20th, 21st. We're doing like our beauty bar that's our old like pre-pandemic stomping ground. It's a really cute venue, epic glitter walls, like one of the cutest disco ballrooms. And then we're doing a Halloween in August party, which was something that started as a raid-a-thon. Um, Miss Chestnut, her birthday was in August. She loves Halloween. So I was like, why don't we do a Halloween in August raid-a-thon where we dress up? So we're just doing it in real life now.
Awesome.
And we are giving away a prize to the best costume that night. Like we upped the stakes. Our partner Hercules is giving us a Hercules Impulse 500 to give away.
Awesome. Yeah, shout out
So that Saturday will
Hercules.
be fun. Yeah, Hercules is awesome. If anyone's looking for a controller to start their DJ journey, they have really great, well-made, affordable options. And then we're doing a boat party with Greg Corner. It's an 80s versus 90s, and it's like one of my favorite events that we do.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, 90s. I mean, we got Jagged Little Pill. We got No
Yeah,
Doubt. We got some Real Big Fish. We're going to have all that in there,
yeah,
right? Yeah. Um,
totally.
so are those events in Chicago, LA? What cities?
They're all in Chicago
Okay.
for this year. Yeah, this is year 2. We did it last year. It was super fun. It was so exhausting last year that I was like, I am never doing this again. As I like laid, comatose for like a week, and then of course this year rolls around, and I'm like, I can't wait.
And is there any possibility of you playing in LA if people wanted to come and check you in Los Angeles?
Yes, I stay in rotation in LA at Broken Shaker at the Freehand Hotel, and also Clifton's, also downtown.
Oh, awesome.
So I'm out and about.
I hope to catch you there. I'll be back in LA soon, so I look forward to seeing you in person. And
Yes.
yeah, please, everybody, go bump those songs. They're awesome. Add them to your playlist or whatever. But with that, I'd like to say thank you again, Lani, and thank you to everyone who tuned in. And that will conclude our Unscripted for, I guess, what is it today? August 10th?
August 10th.
Thank you so
20.
much, Lani.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. See you later.
Later, chat.